Hi, everyone. This is Joe Brewer, your host here at Earth Regenerators. I thought it might be nice to give you a brief video update because it's just more friendly to let you know some of what's going on here. And there are really two sets of activities that are changing how Earth Regenerators works that are both exciting and invigorating, but also can be a little confusing. One of them is that we've just started a community regenerators training program or a mutual learning journey where almost 40 members of this community have joined Diego Gali and me on a journey of discovery to see how can we form a decentralized leadership team and develop new capacities for the network. And this started last week, and we're going to be exploring the framework of pro-social and how to create effective groups. And a lot of our work will focus on how to design tools and frameworks for better collaboration across this platform to serve all of the projects that our more than 2,000 members around the world are trying to make progress on and make impacts in their local communities. So we have some really beautiful conversations that have just started, and we will give you updates as we go to let you know what we're learning and what we're trying to accomplish in service to all of you. So that'll be coming soon. The other thing that's happening is here in Barichara in Colombia, where my family lives, we have begun the process of forming a foundation. And this grew out of several years of thinking, of course. It's not a completely new idea. But a few weeks ago, we visited a piece of heavily degraded land that is in a strategic area related to the system of aquifers, the place that brings all of the water to the village of Barichara and also to the nearby village of Villanueva. And this degraded land was something that was so inspiring to see how badly damaged it is, and that it's actually for sale and is at a reasonable price. And I'd posted on Facebook commenting about wanting to liberate this land. To my surprise, people started offering to donate money. And so we've now raised some money through these gifts to be able to start talking with the current owners and try to negotiate a price to buy this land and set up a land trust. And this really compelled us to take action and start formally setting up this foundation to talk with lawyers who understand how land trusts work in this region. And we're now developing a framework that has several models of cooperation that we want to experimentally explore and set up a research program to study as we attempt bioregional regeneration here in this part of the northern Andes. And we have four models of cooperation that we're going to play with, in combinations. You could think of them as elements to mix together in different contexts. And so we have these four ways that we're currently thinking about using this initial piece of land and the foundation that we're setting up to really take a lot of what we talk about on this platform and put it into practice. Now, the first framework of cooperation is the design school, the Design Institute for Regenerating Earth that we've been talking about here in some of our webinars and in some of the writings in the study group, that we want to set up a design school where people can come and join real-world projects, study bioregional design, and practice regenerative design practices within some of the projects that we're participating in, including this piece of land that we're going to start negotiating the purchase of to set up a land trust and begin reforestation. So this model of cooperation is for students and for teachers and trainers from around the world to be able to gather around local projects and help create new ways of creating value and creating community development processes in service to landscape regeneration. The second framework that we're looking at is something like a buyer's club. So if you're familiar with traditional cooperatives, a really proven and effective model is if a group of families come together and buy things in bulk. Like maybe 10 families come together and buy, 100 pounds of rice. And then they share it between each other and they get a better price because they're buying in bulk. So this form of cooperation is very well established. And what we're thinking about is to take this model and apply it to land acquisition. that there are people who want to buy land in the region. And what we'd like to be able to do is coordinate and bring people together so that they can either buy land that then is put into service of reforestation, or that they can join and collaborate with some of our projects or other private landowner projects in the region as we're coordinating with them. So this is a way of thinking about leveraging the power of collective purchasing and collective agreements to create larger scale impacts in the region. So we'll be experimenting with this locally. Now, a third way that we're thinking about creating cooperation, because we have 4 models, the third way that we're thinking about is to look at forming a network of forest reserves. And we actually have some collaborators that are building a network of forest reserves within the greenbelt that surrounds Barichara right now. So we're using their model as a form of inspiration that we'd like to work with and extend. Here the idea is that we will partner with private landowners and help them create zoning where they might identify a section of their land that they want to set aside for native forest, and then we can help them to set up the legal frameworks of protection as a nature reserve, which gives them tax-exempt status, but also restricts their ability to develop on the land. This might even lead, in some cases, to the landowners donating some of the land to the foundation that we're setting up, so that we can form a patchwork quilt of forest reserves spread across the landscape. Now also we have a 4th model that our family personally is very interested in, which is the model of creating community food forests, where we identify pieces of land, and we're already working with the Moncora Bioparque, which is a 6.5 hectare community forest right on the edge of Barichara. So it's a model for us to think with. But here the idea is to invite a group of families or students, part of the design school, to come together on a larger piece of land and start to build a food forest, where they would engage in agroforestry practices to do things like grow the plants that make natural fibers for clothing and baskets, as well as construction materials for natural building, for medicinal plants, and for food. So building a native forest for this region that has all of this knowledge and skills built into it. And here the idea would be to think of these food forests as being like a learning school embedded in the landscape, with the possibility that one or more families might engage in intentional living on the land, or students might come and train in places working on these reforestation projects where families may also be living. So the idea is that the community food forest becomes the model of cooperation for the people involved in it. So these are the 4 models that we're thinking about right now. And I wanted to share them with you to show that as we're developing our capacities to coordinate on the platform in a decentralized and geographically spread way all around the planet, that we're still very devoted to creating models of bioregional development that seek to create regenerative local economies, and that we're really prototyping this very actively here in northern Colombia with the goal to have this become one of the learning centers that becomes part of a global network that grows out of these efforts, or that connects with existing efforts that are deeply aligned. So I just wanted to give you this little update that these are 2 of the things that are going on, and this is why we have fewer live sessions right now. We've reduced the number of webinars from 2 per month down to 1 per month, and there's a little bit less activity visually happening on the platform because we're very busy with these 2 focus areas. But I wanted to just give you this update and let you know more of what's going on, because we're still working very hard to develop upon all that we've built so far this year. So thank you for being here and being present. If you have comments or reactions, please share them in the comment thread below. And if you want to get involved in any of this work in some way, please also make comments below or send me a private message and we can find a way to talk. So thank you very much, and I look forward to regenerating the Earth with all of you. Onward, fellow humans.